This is the instructional how-to video for the Craig Boyer concession. I'm going to go over the operations of your brand new concession trailer and show you the proper ways of using the equipment as well as the shutdown procedures. Opening up the access door gives me access to your electric panel. 100 amp panel, all 20 amp independent circuits. Battery charger for the 12 volt lighting system and water pump. Battery that powers the 12 volt lights and water pump. Due to the rain, I kept the power cord inside, but this is the cable hatch that would allow you to run your power cable outside of the trailer and be able to plug into shore power, like what you would see I have plugged into, or to your generator itself. I've got the water hooked up. I'm bypassing the freshwater tank, which is this. This is the non-pressure side, so using the water pump, you can use that side here. For this video, I'm using the pressurized side, bypassing the tank and pump. Once I finish this video, I'll winterize the trailer, just due to possible cold weather. Here on the driver's side, down towards the fender well, is your wastewater valve, removing the 3-inch RV waste cap, hooking up your hose, pull the gate valve like so, and contents will flow out. Serving window door is open. Flip up counter in place. Removable rear railing. Your propane tank is empty, however I do have a live tank that I've done my testing with, and I'm hooked up to at this moment. I'm going to show you the outlets here on the porch. This is the passenger side rear corner. I'm going to go to the driver's side rear corner. Keep from pushing the GFI button. There we go. Interior and exterior light switch right here. Passenger side wall. Flip up counter at the concession window. Passenger side V-nose plug. We'll come around to the driver's side V-nose plug. Kind of step back, let you see the V-nose itself. You got the upper shelf. Cabinet doors give you access. Plenty of storage area. Water pump switch. Again, you want to turn it on or off. On for pressurizing the water tank itself. Plug right below your view window. Plug right above the sink. Alrighty. Switch for the exhaust fan up above. Fire suppression system set in place for the deep fryer. I went ahead and had the installer go ahead and put just another nozzle in case you put another piece of equipment on this counter, as well as a gas hookup in case the appliance happens to be gas that you need to use. The filters are removable for cleaning purposes. You'll need to clean these periodically depending on how much grease gets into those filters. You can use hot water and a mild soap to be able to thoroughly clean these, especially in between the grooves itself. Thoroughly clean them, rinse them, allow them adequate time to air dry. Never run the exhaust fan cooking wise without the filters in place, as you would have grease that could go up into that top cavity. Be potential for a grease fire. When you put these filters back in place, keep the gap as minimal as possible. Close it in both sides as they do slide side to side. Control head and tank. Nobody other than a licensed fire suppression company needs to tamper with this system itself. Once you get it to back to your state in your hometown, you'll need to have your local fire suppression company as well as your fire marshal come out and tag and certify the system for proper usage. Shut-off valves, you got your winterization blowout valve, which is a separate video for winterizing. Water heater. Before I ever plugged that water heater into the outlet right there, I made sure I had continuous water flow through both faucets to make sure I did not damage the unit. $120 and still continuing to get hotter. Alrighty. So for the gas system itself, always want to make sure the extraction fan is on. Want to make sure that your appliance is always in the off position. Of course, your shutoff valve is going to naturally be like this at the time of startup. I've got gas going through it, and that's the reason I wanted to turn it back on. I'll show you here in a moment what I'm referring to. So you will pressurize your tank itself, turning the pressure on to the valve that would be opposite line at initial startup. So one of the most important things to do is pay attention to your regulator at the time of startup. The reason being is this gas line runs down and hugs the frame of the trailer, goes under, and then stubs up right here. So even though it's a short distance, there is that potential for road debris, rocks, blocks of wood, anything such as that. If you were to run over it, even tires, that while in transport, if you hit it, it could pierce, bend, damage the pipe in some way. So at your initial startup, when you pressurize to this valve here, when you listen through here, when you turn this valve on, you should hear nothing more than the sound of the line being pressurized, which is simply shh sound. If you hear continuous gas flow coming through this at the initial startup, you immediately need to shut that valve back off and contact your local gas company to come out and inspect the piping and replace or repair what is potentially or what is damaged. Again, there is no need for any gas to be coming through this regulator at your initial startup. The line is pressurized. At this moment, you're not going to hear gas coming through it. That's why I shut the valve back on because I already have the pilot lit after several times of testing. So, pilot lit. This is in the on position. The reason I have this pre-lit is because it takes 2 hands to light the deep fryer. You will need lighters like this for lighting purposes. Always start, again, this is how it should be at the very beginning of the day in the off position. I always start with, at that point you're making sure this thermostat connects with this gas valve. You'll push in and hold where the L meets the red dot and allows you to push in. You'll push and hold here and administer fire to your thermopile. Once your thermopile is lit, you will continue to hold this button for 10 to 15 seconds. Once you can slowly release this button and keep a strong, steady flame on your thermopile, you can rotate to the on position, and when you're ready to do so, activate your thermostat to the desired temp that you need. At the end of each day, make sure this is back off. Make sure this unit right here is back in the off position. In one of the sink bays is the paperwork for the deep fryer that has the drain tube that threads in. You can open this valve and be able to dump the contents from the vat itself, as you will need to do so before transport each and every time. I want to make sure that this is going over real clear. This is the valve, obviously hose connected for the deep fryer. This valve here is your secondary valve. You can put a plug on it or a cap. Right now it's in the off position. So when you put storage in this area, you do not need anything, because if you hit that, there's an abundance amount of gas coming out, as you could hear. And you would be able to smell. That could be a very, very bad thing. So again, making sure that you do not put anything that can hit that, as you would have that gas coming through and being exposed in the area for potential fire. Now at the end of each day, make sure that you turn this valve off and also your tank valve itself. Do not leave either one of those on. Once that is completed, then, and you're done for the end of the day, once the heat is finished, you can turn that extraction fan off and be able to go about your cleanup services itself. And the paperwork for the deep fryer, also paperwork for the fire suppression system. If you want to open up your extraction roof vent, or roof vent itself, just make sure that you close it back down in such a manner that it is not open. As you can see, that clicking noise allows it to close down. If you leave it open at transport, potentially you're going to rip off the roof vent due to the crosswinds itself. A little storage space right there. And at the end of each day, just make sure that you have those light switches back to the off position, as that will drain the battery once you disconnect. I will, after this video, I will winterize the unit and I will strap the tank in place. Just make sure that that tank is always strapped in place, as it can easily move around without it. If you have your wastewater hose hooked up, you want to make sure that you close that valve off and remove your hose and put your cap back in place. I'm going to leave it open itself so there's no water held in. And if you do have your freshwater hose hooked up, you want to make sure that you turn that water off, disconnect, and be able to close that door itself. There should always be pins at least in the top latches so that there's no potential for that railing to come off while in transport. Anything on the porch or any loose items in the trailer need to be put in such a safe manner that they are good for transport itself. As we always instruct, make sure that blinkers, brake lights, and running lights are always functioning before transportation each and every time. Also, once a year, you can remove this, or you need to remove this rubber grease cap and apply grease to the Zerk fitting behind here. That's for each wheel hub to protect the bearings itself so that you have long-lasting bearing life. If you would like to do it more than once a year, please do so. Also, check your lug nuts each and every time before transit, as well as your tire pressure itself. For your flip-up counter, pressing upward allows that to go back down to a fixed position. Same thing, once you get to your 90 degrees, pressing upward allows that to stay in an upward fixed position, which you will be able to see that tab on each leg on the outward position that holds it in place. Always make sure that the flip-up door is closed down for transit also, and your power cord pulled inward to the lower V-nose and that door closed as well. We thank you for taking the time to view this video. Make these videos to be able to show the customer their brand new concession and all the working contents before they get to our facility for pickup, and or if it's being delivered so that they can see their trailer itself. If you do have any questions or concerns about this video or your trailer itself, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be glad to assist in any way. We thank you so much for your business and wish you the very best.